Not yours.
Huh? We're on?
You're good, yeah.
Hey folks out there in Facebook land. Watch us tonight. We're going to be live on Facebook, so watch the show. During our break, Zooming Rosie, our celebrity guest star, she is a celebrity right there, Zooming Rosie. We'll be doing just kind of walking around, actually. But we're going to have fun. If you have questions, comments, feel free to send them to Ashley over here. Ashley's here, Danielle's here, Zooming Rosie's here. We're going to have some fun. A little tired. It's 8 o'clock. Ashley's cranky.
No.
I'm cranky. I just flew in from Tampa. My arms are killing me.
Your arms?
It's a joke. Get it? I just flew in from... Oh, my gosh.
It's kind of funny.
Thank you.
Oh, Danielle, don't even.
Danielle.
That was
It
kind
is
of
funny. You got to just...
You gotta think about it for a minute.
I just flew in from... We're going to get started. I don't know what we're talking about yet. Ash, what is that noise?
I'm watching to see the comments. So that was you just talking just now on Facebook.
Oh, I see. There's a delay.
Yeah, we talk about this, I feel like, every week, but there is a
Don't laugh at that thing.
delay on the radio
All right.
and us.
All right, you got 2 minutes to go here, and then we're going to talk. So if you have questions, comments, I don't know. But stay tuned, because the good part about Facebook is we go around the airport here with dogs every week, and we kind of play around a little bit, and we'll see what happens. I've had a lot of people with 4, 5, 6 month old dogs calling me up with behavioral problems.
We have a lot more daycare dogs, 5, 6 years old.
Yeah, a lot of daycare. The dog world, I don't know what's happening. We got to talk about that. It's going bonkers. Bonkers. Hi, Rose. Rosie's such a beautiful little girl. She's perfect. She's going to be in a pink outfit because she's going to do a lot of walks this spring for cancer
May 4th,
walks.
I think, too, right?
May 4th, yeah.
And then, of course, she has her blue Supergirl costume where she goes out and she sneaks out in the middle of the night and saves people. Yeah. Oy. Is anybody watching? Not really.
3 people.
Hi, 3 people. Who was your friend that called in last week that said about the necropsy, the autopsy? What was
They
her
didn't call in. I was texting her.
All right. What's her name?
Stephanie.
All right. Well, she was right, so I got her.
I would hope she's right. She's got big bucks
Wow.
to work on brain and spinal injuries.
All right. Well, we're going to apologize for my misunderstanding of the necropsy or autopsy. What's her name?
Stephanie?
Stephanie.
Third.
Stevie Pooh watching?
Absolutely not.
Stevie Pooh. Poor Danielle.
In 5, 4, 3.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Dish on Dogs, the show about dog behavior. I'm your host, Mike Gould, founder and mayor of Hounds Town USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth, with 7 locations on Long Island and 17 locations in 6 states. We're going to be opening in Detroit soon, in Atlanta. Things are exciting at Hounds Town. Yeah. And the reason that we're opening so many is the dog world is exploding, and we have to. That's what we're going to talk about today. So for those of you who don't know, Hounds Town is home to the happiest dogs on earth. It's a fully interactive pet care facility. What does that mean is dogs come to our facilities and they're placed in play groups or natural packs, and they run around and they can do things in our facilities that they can't do at home. So it's very liberating to dogs to be able to come from the confines of a house where they're really not supposed to be doing, chewing on furniture and barking and doing all of these behaviors that's not appropriate for a house. So it's like kids going to a playground, so they can run around, they get dirty, they hump, jump, and dump without any yelling and screaming, right? Oh, with me, of course, I forgot, is the lovely Ashley.
Thanks.
Sorry, Ashley Pizzo is here. And for those of you who have the ability to go on Facebook and watch, because our friend Danielle here, our videographer, is actually taking pictures of Zooming Rosie. Zooming Rosie, for those of you who don't know, is a celebrity from Hollywood. She's from Hollywood, California. She has her own Instagram page, right? If you Google, or not Google, but if you...
You can search up, you can Google, it'll take you to her Instagram page, Zooming Rosie. But that is, if you just go right on Instagram, you can search for Zooming Rosie, and we have a bunch of pictures. We keep it pretty updated.
Right.
Anytime she's doing anything new.
Right. So Zooming Rosie is the newest member of our charity, and she's just really cool. So if you have the ability to go on Facebook, Hounds Town Radio, what is it, Hounds Town Radio, Facebook.
Yep.
During our we have a 7-minute break coming up, not coming up, but somewhere during the program. And during that time, we kind of do a little, see what Rosie's been up to. She'll be zooming around the airport here. And Zooming Rosie is an inspiration. So we've had blind dogs, deaf dogs, 3-legged dogs, and now we've got our own 2-legged dog, really, because she has she only has her 2 front legs. But she is completely mobile. I mean, we have to really keep an eye on her, because if she's not in her wheelchair, she'll scoot away, literally. Maybe we can demonstrate that. She hops like So she's really inspirational. And that's kind of the theme of this show, is why dogs are different than humans. And there's a huge gap between the human, people that have dogs, but they don't understand their psychological and physical needs. And that's what we got to talk about.
But no, and I actually, not a lot of people know, but I'm pretty sure, what did you turn today, 80?
I turned 80 today. Yeah. Why are you bringing that up? Is that something Jackie had put into your head?
No.
All right. Well, anyway, we don't celebrate birth. As I said, I flew in from Tampa today, and my arms are killing me. And Ashley, of course, looked at me like I didn't. That's a joke, right? I flew in from Tampa. So, I came back from Tampa, had a wonderful time. I was visiting relatives, my wonderful mother-in-law, Eileen Bondanza, my sister-in-law, Allison Bondanza. So if you want to talk, we had such a great time. So Saturday night, we had what we call happy hour psychotherapy. So I had a therapy session during happy hour. And then last night we had family dinner, and we had a spirited political Italian meal. So so it was really pretty fascinating. So anyway, now I'm a little exhausted. I'm back here, and I'm joined by you guys, and of course Zooming Rosie. So let me not digress about what I did. Tell me, so today's my birthday, and my perspective: if you're over 10 years old, you shouldn't celebrate Christmas and birthdays. It's not really. Anyway, let's talk about dogs. This show, the goal of this show is to help people understand and communicate effectively with their dog, because there's a huge lack of communication.
Right.
Because people just don't understand that their dog is closer to being a wolf than they are being a human being.
Right.
And we take so many things for granted because of the way we perceive just think of how crazy our world is. When you think of it from a dog's perspective, a dog who's 18 inches off the ground, they don't have thumbs, so they can't manipulate anything in our environment. They can't pack a suitcase, they can't come to the airport, they can't open doors. So they're completely at our mercy, in a sense, but we don't understand what their real needs are. And we think they think like us, we dress them up as though they need to be dressed up. And it's alarming to me. So as I said when we began the broadcast, we've taken care of well over 1 million visitors, and we're going to have 17 locations throughout the United States. And there's only one reason that's happening, because the need for quality pet care is there. And people are working, and I can't explain it. We're bursting at the seams. What are you seeing at our doggy at Hounds Town? Do you see young dogs, old dogs, or a combination?
Right now, especially, I guess, that the weather is getting nicer, we have a huge boom in dogs anywhere from, I'd say, because they have to be 4 months old to come to our location. So,
right.
So they're up to date on shots and everything like that. But we've had a huge increase. Dogs anywhere 4 to 6, maybe 8 months.
Yeah.
huge.
Right.
You know, even people adopting brother-sister dogs, you know,
Yeah.
getting a secondary dog. So, you know, we have been extremely busy, and a lot of these new customers, like I was saying, are repeat customers getting a second dog.
Right, second, third generation dogs, and that's
Right.
great. But I wanted a piece of advice, and it's funny you say that because a lot of the phone calls I get for behavioral training is people with 4 and 6 month old dogs, and that's actually a great time to start shaping a dog's behavior.
Well, they don't call you with massive issues. They're calling you for good intentions, I think, to set behavior.
Right,
You
right,
know,
but
these
the,
4-month-old puppies aren't
right.
dragging them down the block and everything.
Right, not yet, but the point is, it's much easier, as we always say. You can always, yes, the question is, can you train an old dog to do new tricks? Is that the
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, you can, but it's more difficult, right? So as we get older, we're more set in our ways. So if you have habits and you're 20, 30, 40 years old, these habits are going to be harder to break than if you never develop those habits. So when we talk about shape and behavior, if you have a 4-month-old puppy, just came into your house, and you start understanding his primal brain and separate your human emotions, and you'll be able to communicate with the dog. And we talk very simple. We do something called, what do we do? The training. Turbo training. So turbo training is something, it's a fast, it's not, you know, people do too much. We make this, when I listen to people, they come in and they have a harness, they have this collar, that collar, and I get exhausted listening to them. They get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to let the dog out, or the dog gets them up at 4 o'clock.
The dog is running their life.
Right, but the dog is literally sucking the life out of people. And it's really incredible. And it's not doing the dog any good, and it's not doing you any good. So when people understand the primal needs of a dog are so simple, and when we can learn how to not constantly let them consume our emotions by every minute of the day, you know, people are obsessed. It's become an obsession. You know, when I'm traveling, I see therapy dogs on planes, and I'll tell you the truth. I'm surprised, Jackie even said this, I'm surprised animal rights advocates haven't really kind of protested that fact, because it's kind of cruel to me when I think you're going to take a 6-month-old dog or a year-old dog and project all your emotional needs and sometimes physical needs on a dog. Right. So if you need something for stability, don't use a dog, get a cane or a walker. So I really find it, because dogs are as needy or fearful as the humans are. So, I mean, you very rarely, to me, if you look around, you'll very rarely see what I consider a happy therapy dog.
Yeah. I haven't seen any either. You know, our honeymoon, we went out to Orlando.
Right.
And went to the theme parks, and we saw probably at least 5 dogs in a matter of a day and a half, you know, seeing just as, you know, some form of a therapy dog. You know, I don't know what they technically are, if they're an emotional support animal. And they're not even puppies. They're like these 10-year-old dogs, and it's 102 degrees outside, and they're getting dragged around, you know, Harry Potter land.
Right.
And they look miserable.
Right. Well, yeah. And a lot of organizations actually breed dogs to take kind of the spontaneity in their drive away. They take their prey drive away. We can talk about this on the break. We're moving along fast. We're taking our first break. Stay with us on Facebook. And then in our second break, we're going to take Zooming Rosie out for a Zoom. So you're listening to the Dish on Dogs 103.9 live every Monday night at 8 p.m. So stick with us till after the 2-minute break. We'll be back and we'll talk about some other inane things. What?
Nothing.
She's like perked right up.
I know. She's like, headphones off, we're going.
All right. Hold on. What? Anybody asking anything, or is everybody tired tonight?
We'll have the Bruno video this week, so we can post that once he goes.
All right,
When we send him
Bruno.
back
We'll
home,
talk
we'll be
about
good.
Bruno.
He met Jim.
And how was he?
I like Jim.
He likes him?
Jim likes him.
Oh, yeah. Jim was all over him.
Maybe he'll take him now.
He's got 2 other dogs.
All right, what are we going to talk about after the break? What were we talking about? therapy dogs.
We were talking about therapy dogs, but just projecting on the dog.
All right. Oh, Rose.
She wants
Rosie,
that
we're going to
cookie.
go for a walk in a little while. All right, we just have to talk and have a conversation about different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we'll get her dressed up.
Yeah.
Give her a little treat.
Kristen wrote happy birthday, Pops.
Aw.
In 5, 4, 3.
On Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould. I'm here with, of course, Ashley Pizzo. And if you're watching on Facebook Live, you'll see our best new rescue dog, Zooming Rosie. She's really a Hollywood movie star, actually. She's here now in New York, and she's going to be performing live performances at different rescue events. So if you stick with us during our break, our next commercial break, we have about a 6 or 7 minute break, and we're going to have her zoom, scoot, and do all this crazy stuff she does. And for those of you watching and don't know Zooming Rosie, you can, go on Instagram and see her videos. But she has no, she has no back legs. She has them, but they don't do anything. She has no control of her back legs. She just has her front legs, and she is as active a dog that you'll ever see, or more so. I wouldn't even know what she'd be like if she had legs. She'd be a handful, right?
Yeah.
She'd be like
Crazy.
She'd be crazy. So we have Zooming Rosie, and we're going to let her run around the MacArthur Airport here during the break. She's going to be dressed in pink tonight. She's got a bunch of different outfits. Of course, she has her super dog outfit, her
Yes.
blue super dog outfit that she wears when she does rescues and saves people all over the world. And then she has her pink costume for when she does cancer walks this year. She's going to be
Yeah. Our first one is May 4th.
May 4th. She's
Yeah.
going to be an ambassador, and she's going to be so cool and inspirational. So keep an eye on Zooming Rosie. So before the break, we go all over the place, but we were talking about how humans project a lot of their human needs onto a dog that can't really absorb them. A dog is a dog. At Hounds Town, by the way, we don't discriminate against dogs. So, your insurance company may discriminate against dogs. Your homeowners association may discriminate against dogs. But at Hounds Town, we accept all dogs. We do provide them, they have the right temperament, but we don't discriminate. According to the insurance company, Rin Tin Tin is a bully breed, right? A German Shepherd. Rosie, I know,
She wants a cookie.
she doesn't like to hear that. We don't like to talk about discrimination on this show, right, Rosie? So, So insurance companies, people, they discriminate. Think of how toxic that is. Pet care facilities, many of the pet care facilities in the United States, there's some communities that don't allow pit bulls in their community, like
There's
towns,
states.
So I don't know about states, but certainly cities
Right.
are banned. And anybody who has a loving pit bull at home they're outraged by that because it's such a foolish, ignorant thing. Of course, there's horrific stories in the paper, and they are big, powerful dogs, and if they're not socialized properly and their behavior isn't shaped correctly from puppies, yes, they can do, big, powerful dogs can do big, powerful damage. And the recipients of that damage is usually children. But that's not because, it's not the dog, it's a human. It's the humans that didn't do the right things with the dogs as they were puppies. They get them for the wrong reasons. Some people get it, they're macho, they want to put a big chain around their neck. So we have many, many pit bulls. Dobermans. Who's that Doberman puppy I just saw today? Peanut, right? So he's a 6-month-old dog. That's a bully breed, the Doberman. Back in the 60s, they were considered the most vicious dogs, and then Rottweilers. So this is insanity. One thing I do have to apologize. Last week's show, we were talking about necropsies. And as I do know, a necropsy is the examination of a dog brain and its vital organs for diseases or whatever. But I thought there was a separate name, a different name for that, other than autopsy in human. But your friend, what's her name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie straightened this out. So although I have a lot of faults, being wrong isn't one of them. But in this case, I just thought there was
We're going to notate that down.
Yeah, notate, yeah. But, yeah, so I thought there was a specific procedure to do an examination of the human brain, but there's not. So it's considered an autopsy. It's a necropsy in animals. I don't know why we would talk. Oh, well, one of the points.
There's no difference.
There's no difference. So if you examine the brain of a dog, a pit bull, or a poodle, they're identical. Right. Just like if you did an Irish person, a German person, black, white, gay, whatever. They're all the same. There's no difference. So, and this is what the beauty of dogs are. We talk about the fact that the dogs don't have all of these prejudices. They're either safe and secure or they're not. And that's the beauty of a dog. And they will bond with anyone they trust. As long as they trust you, they'll be eternally faithful to you. You come home, they don't judge you, where were you, and they'll always love you. And that's why they do have a therapeutic value. Just by that, because you have an animal that has unconditional love for you. So that's where the therapy part is, but they don't have to be trained. You don't have to go out and spend $20,000 to get a dog to love you. It's absurd. It's ludicrous. And that's where I started to digress before when we talked about therapy dogs.
Right. Well, you've rehomed some of our dogs that have gone through our charity program. One dog like Tyson, we rehabilitated him to an extent, and he rehabilitated a 9/11 survivor.
Right, but
and he had basic obedience, but he wasn't technically a trained certified.
Right.
Therapy
Well, there's
dog.
not. When you think about it, what is a trained certified therapy dog? It can't. It's actually ludicrous on its premise. So people want to fly with their dog, so you send $150 away to somebody in a matchbook psychologist, and you'll get a certificate to take the dog on a plane. But it's really doing the animal. I find it to be abusive to a certain extent. I really do. Because as I said, if you as a human have a fear of flying, trust me, your dog is no different. To a dog, an airplane is completely alien to them. Dogs don't understand anything because our world is completely alien to them. When just at an airport, it's hard. It's almost impossible for a dog to understand everything that's happening. So, and I trained therapy dogs for, a good deal of time until I realized that I'm putting so much pressure on a dog to do something that there's other technology to do it. As I said, if I'm a 230-pound person, if I need a dog for stability, if I need something for stability, it shouldn't be a dog. I get a cane. Why would I want to lean on a 70-pound dog, or if I fall? So it's kind of a funny thing, and it really kind of bothers me a little bit because, like I said in the first segment, I've never seen really a happy therapy dog. You don't have to be an animal behaviorist to know what a happy dog is, right? Their tails wagging, their butts moving.
Right.
Most of the therapy dogs, and I take pictures of them actually when I'm traveling, and they're just laying there. People are eating dinner, and there's this dog laying at its feet. What makes that what's good about that for the dog? A dog wants to be chasing a ball. It wants to be running in a field. It doesn't want to be laying at your feet while you're eating. It's absurd.
And
anyway.
I had a friend of mine that got bit by, her manager got bit by a therapy
Oh, right,
dog
you told me that.
at a local restaurant. I won't name names, but
Right.
he was laying under the table. She went to give him the bill, and the dog jumped up and punctured her. Actually, she had to go to the hospital.
Right. So yeah, so that's crazy, and of course that's inevitable, and it's just to me crazy. And so when we start talking about how dogs have evolved, they haven't really evolved physically, but they've evolved by working their way into our homes and our hearts in a way that in the last 50 years, it's incredible. 100 years ago or 75 years ago, dogs would be in the backyard. And now they've gotten onto the porch, then into the living room. Now they're all over the house. They have their own rooms in the house. Anyway, what does that all mean? I don't know. I don't know. But what we are going to do, when we do take our next break, we're going to put Zooming Rosie in her Zooming pink cancer costume.
Yep.
And she's going to zoom around the airport here a little bit. And she should be an inspiration to people, I think, because she's, like I said, she doesn't complain and she doesn't moan, and she's just a happy, happy girl. So we're going to do that. And then maybe in the next segment, we'll finally talk about what we were supposed to be talking about, which is what?
We were talking about the dogs were closer to wolves than they are.
Right, understanding the vast difference. There is such a void from the human being, a human, Homo sapien, and a dog that lives 4 feet. They don't stand erect, they don't have thumbs. We're going to talk about that big void that's sucking the life out of humans and dogs. You're listening to the Dish on Dogs. Stay with us on Facebook, and let's get Zooming Rosie ready to zoom around our studio here and see what's happening. All right, stay with us. The Dish on Dogs. Well, let's get her going.
She needs her diaper.
And then we'll see what she does. Bring some treats. Why? We'll bring my squeaky toy.
No, don't put that. We put the link.
You got the goggles.
Yeah.
The goggles
And then you got your Facebook thing.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, Rosie.
She doesn't like the back.
Hey, baby. Yeah. I don't know how this goes. You do that.
Now she's really good at it.
She is.
I know, we need to teach you how to do this.
Hurry up, we don't have much time. Hi, Rosie, you get a treat for that. Give her a little tiny treat. Hello out there, Facebook land.
She has her own crew.
She's eating lamb lung, it's disgusting. Lamb lung, this crazy scavenger. Scavenger. Scavenger.
Scavenger.
Here,
That's a
baby.
word.
Oh. You got it. You're a good girl. Let's go, move out.
Come back on hers.
No, just throw them over. They're funny.
All right, get her in a buggy, get her thing on. Get your Facebook thing.
You got the, you want this too?
No, yeah. I don't think so.
You got it.
Hurry up.
Due to TSA regulations, baggage cannot be left unattended in the terminal.
All right,
And
let's
do
go.
not accept any package or baggage from someone we do not know. Due to the conflict status, the service
That's
or unattended baggage to a uniform.
That's our zooming Rosie. Look how good now. We're actually teaching her a little obedience too. If we take her goggles off, which we will in a minute, watch. She's healing. We're teaching her to heal. Turn left. And if you listen to all the distractions here, stop there. See if she'll stay. Oh, terrific. All right, well, we're not so big on obedience here with her, as much as we just love her. So she's just an inspiration. Take her goggles off for a minute so she can see where the hell she's going. Rosie girl! Maybe go in there on the thing, because we want to let her scoot a little bit too. Go ahead, Rosie. She loves me, so that's the other problem. And then stop there. What else does she do? Not much.
You can let her scoot around.
Yeah, let her scoot. So we're going to take her out of a buggy and let her scoot for a few minutes. Take her collar off, baby. We might have to chase her. There she goes. Come on, Rose. Rosie girl, there's my baby. Here's my baby. Here's my baby girl. She actually, one woman that actually just, maybe that I have lamb lung here might help matter.
Just eat
Disgusting.
lamb lung.
Here, babe. All right. So anyway, the point of this, why is Zooming Rosie amazing? because she's this wonderful good girl, Rose. Huh? She likes the tile. It's good on her butt. Come on, Rose. Come on, Rose. Yeah. Look at her. And this is the end of the day. She's been in doggy daycare. She's been in a playgroup at doggy daycare in her wheelchair all day long. So she's a little on the tired side. If you see her in the morning, she's a lunatic. All right, we're gonna go there. Go chase Ashley.
Rosie. She's checking everything out.
She's looking for 3 minutes. All right, we got to get back in the studio. But here's our zooming Rosie girl. All right, Rose. Good girl. Yeah, I don't know if she'll come over herself. Come on, Rose.
I think if we all go.
Yeah, she will. Come on, baby. Come on, Rose.
She's coming.
Come on, Rose. We got to go to work now, Rose. We got to go to work. Anybody who wants to help us pimp her ride, let us know. If you know how to paint or do something with this horrible contraption, we want it to be cool looking. Cool. All right, we got to get going, and then we're going to also clean up after the next commercial, right?
Yeah? She
All
by
right.
you?
Yeah, she's over here. All right, that was our girl zooming Rosie. She's an inspiration to me, that's for sure. We got a couple of minutes. We're going to go back on the radio. We're going to talk about what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's so funny. Put the bed down, she jumps right on it.
What?
She wouldn't lay down. We put the bed down, she lays right on it.
So we'll talk about dog behavior for a little while, then we'll talk about Bruno in the fourth section.
Yeah.
30 seconds, guys.
How do you do on Facebook? Hmm?
5 seconds. In 3, 2.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould. I'm here with Ashley Pizzo and, of course, zooming Rosie. For those of you who are on Facebook Live, you know, we just did, it really wasn't a demonstration, but it gives people an opportunity just to see a dog who has 2 legs, not 4, and how she navigates around life. She's a handful, actually. So it's, and she didn't need like major rehabilitation. This is the beauty of dogs. They have a different pain threshold. They have a whole different sense of being than humans do. They don't obviously complain about things. They don't even understand it. So she was supposedly abused. I forgot what country she's from, but I forget, some foreign country. And she was supposedly abused. And I say supposedly because you really never know the backstory on dogs. But it doesn't negate the fact that she can't walk. She's paralyzed. She has no use of her legs. How that happened, obviously she has a spinal cord injury. So she has no control. So anyway, we love her. We accept her for who she is. And that's the point. Accept your dogs, your children, your family members for who they are. Don't try to change them. Don't try to change people or animals to be something that they can't be. So, obviously it applies to dogs, but I'd like to think it applies to other humans in your life too. Don't try to change people, and don't try to change dogs. Dogs are dogs. Don't make them the guardian of your house. Don't make them your jogging partner. Don't make them your attack dog. Don't make them your therapy dog. Just love them for who they are, period. Whether they have 3 legs, 2 legs, 1 leg. Dogs in general, in good health, are different. They don't see like we do, that meaning they don't have very clear vision, they don't have monochromatic vision, or they do have monochromatic vision. I'm just saying, right, I don't know what the difference. Mono means one. I don't know, I'll have to check that out. The point is, they see things more in black and white than they do in vivid color. And they live 18 inches off the ground, so we don't take that into consideration, so therefore we're very toxic human beings. If you had an autistic child or a deaf child, you would learn what their needs are, and you would learn how to communicate the way they needed to be communicated to. You can't talk to a deaf child. So if you want to communicate with a deaf child, you learn sign language, and then you have a very wonderful, happy relationship. Autistic children and people, they process information differently, that's all. And they do some amazing things. They have amazing powers. But they process information differently. And if you don't understand that, so if you don't understand autism and you have an autistic member of your family, you're really doing them a disservice. You might take them and spend money on them and buy them the nicest clothes and all of this. But if you don't understand how their brain functions, you're really doing them a disservice. And I will tell you universally, and we have great, loving pet owners at Hounds Town USA. Would you agree with that, Ashley?
I do agree with that.
And their version of love, of course, they want the very best for them, the very best food. They'll get organic food. They'll cook food. They'll bring them to the best veterinary, holistic vets. They will spend a fortune. But very rarely do they take the time to understand how a dog perceives our world. We live in a crazy world. We've kind of selfishly removed them from the wild. Very selfishly, 35,000 years ago or so, we decided to domesticate dogs. Or vice versa. We started a mutual agreement with one another. They would protect our camps or our caves, and in return we'd give them scraps of food. And this is how this bonding began. But now it's become so toxic that really it's just incredible how people now are, you see dogs in handbags and dogs, there's designer dogs. I think that fad has kind of stopped actually about 4 or 5 years ago. They were designing these tiny little dogs to be inside luggage, and it's really, to me it's cruel personally. Maybe I'm overreacting to it, but in my opinion, dogs want to sniff other dogs' butts, they want to run around, they want to just have fun, like they're
Well, they have their health issues too, because their anatomy is not proportionate. Same thing with dogs being too large.
Right. Well, of course, once we start, dogs are the genetic engineering, right? We start to breed dogs for certain things, and back in the day, there probably was a utilitarian reason for it. For hunters, they wanted certain dogs a certain size, a certain speed, to do certain things, but now we do it for really, really selfish reasons, and I think it's abusive personally, like I said. So it's bad enough we take these dogs and we hold them hostage in our homes. I do it. We have 3 or 4 dogs at home, of course, but I try very hard to allow them to be dogs. That means they can run in the field, they can dig holes, they're not getting yelled at, they hunt little moles, they'll kill a mole or something. Voles or moles, whatever.
Moles,
there's little tiny things. Because they're predators. Dogs are predators. And you can't get away from that. They haven't evolved further than that. They are predators. They have prey drive, they kill things, and they ingest them. And we kind of do the same thing, only our brains have evolved in such a way that literally it's mushroomed. Our brain is mushroomed. It's probably going to be, in my view, self-destructive, because our brain is so intelligent and we're analyzing information, and now we're translating that to dogs. We're trying to psychoanalyze dogs, and we're trying to.
Well, we're analyzing them with the human brain, so you're misinterpreting or miscommunicating with the dog.
You're misinterpreting. No, that's right. Because so if people just took the time out, there's one book that I think really answers a lot of these mysteries. It decodes the mystery of dogs, and that is called Animals in Translation. Animals in Translation by Dr. Temple Grandin. And she, ironically, as a she's autistic. So she always, as a young child, she just gravitated towards dogs for some reason. She didn't understand it, of course, because autism wasn't even a thing. She's probably in her 70s or 80s, 70s. So, and she's a world-renowned animal behaviorist, world-renowned. But she decoded the mystery of dogs using her own autistic brain, her mind, how she processed information. And it's fascinating. So if you read one book on dogs, just one, and people have libraries, they Google and they're studying. I go to people's houses, their dogs are still crazy as can be, yet they have libraries, videos, what's the guy's name, Caesar Milan, and whatever, all of this stuff. And their dogs are still misbehaving, so to speak, because people don't understand what dogs are doing. And that's the intention of this show, is to, again, fill that void, that anthropomorphic void. So we all know what anthropomorphism is treating animals as though they're humans, or applying human emotions to dogs, which they just don't have. They just don't have. Just like I use the example of a fish in water. You wouldn't take a fish out of water because you feel bad that it's getting wet. It would die. Horses go in stalls and they herd together. They have natural instincts. When you start messing with that, when you start messing with nature, this is when accidents happen. So everybody thinks I'm crazy or over, sensitive to these things, but I'm the one who gets the phone calls about a 10-year-old kid got her face literally bit off by a dog. And it was never the dog's fault. It's the humans mismanaging and not understanding the nature of a dog. As we talked about on the last show, we see this all the time. When people interfere with nature, that's when accidents happen. If you observe nature, very rarely does nature come to you. I've never had a dog come after me for no reason. There's always a reason. There's always something that triggers that behavior. The fact is, there's no such thing as a psychotic dog, because psychosis only lives in the minds of humans. There's psychotic humans that go out and mass murderers and do insane things. Dogs don't do that. There's no such thing as mass murdering dogs. They don't. They will bite you if you feel violated. If you violate their space, they will bite you. It's a no-brainer. If you come into my house uninvited, you'll probably get shot, because I'm a primal mammal that protects our resources. So we know this. We know all of these things. If somebody comes and takes a steak off my plate while I'm at a restaurant, I will probably stick the fork in their hand. That would be a reaction for somebody taking my property. So dogs do this all the time. We just don't understand it. So when a dog has a sock in his mouth and a child goes to reach for it, and the dog bites the child, he's just guarding his resources. The sock is just a dead rabbit in his mouth. So once you start understanding what dogs are doing and why they're doing it, the amount of dog bites, they won't exist. But in the next segment we're going to talk about the spring and why dog bites are going to skyrocket in about 2 or 3 weeks. Stay with us, the Dish on Dogs, and I'm going to explain to you in April, dog bites are going to go through the roof, and I'll tell you why. Stick with us. 2 minutes from now on the Dish on Dogs. Hi, Facebook people.
Rosie got that.
Okay, you better get
She was out. Woke her up. Out. She's on patrol.
I forgot she was in the...
She was sleeping. How cool.
All right, let's think. If somebody got a 3-month-old dog at Christmas, we're going to talk about Christmas puppies. So they would be how old now? 3 months at Christmas. January, February, March, April, 7 or 8 months old. Thank you, Danielle. Such a good kid.
You're welcome.
Oh, she's tired. She needs a nap.
I do need a nap.
Me too. too. I need her just as complete sleep. Hi guys, who's out there? Is Jackie watching? Any comments?
Jackie's always watching.
I know. And trust me, I know. She's so delightful. My son called, Mikey called, maybe to wish me a happy birthday. I hope. Who told you it was my birthday? Jackie?
Well, I know it was the 26th, but.
Well, today's the 25th, so you're off by
Oh.
Yeah. Oh,
That's why you didn't
Professor.
get a happy birthday this morning.
You would've got one tomorrow?
45, guys.
You would've got one
45
tomorrow,
seconds.
exactly.
All right, let's talk about that Christmas puppies.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, Rose.
Did you ever talk to that lady you talked to last week on the way here?
Which one?
The dog bit her brother.
Ethel?
Ethel, yeah.
Kind of talk to her tomorrow.
15 seconds,
Make
guys.
sure-
15 seconds.
Do you have an appointment tomorrow or not?
Not yet. I do have an 11 o'clock dog training tomorrow. That's something.
Separate? Gotcha.
And tell people how they can
In
listen.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould. You're listening to us on 103.9. I'm here with Ashley, too. We're on LI News Radio.
Yep.
A lot of people, so with this, you can see this obviously on Facebook Live. Some people on Facebook Live, people like me that don't want to be stalked, stay off of Facebook.
Right.
But how can other people listen if you're out of the state? I know people listen all over the place.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways. So you can go to linewsradio.com and you can click on our show, or you can just listen live. So at that point, if you're not, in the car with the radio on, you can just go on your laptop, cell phone, listen live through that app. Or what you can do too, if you have an Alexa, you can ask Alexa to play 103.9 on iHeartRadio, and you can listen live that way, or Facebook Live.
Okay.
You can check that in. That's always there. So after we air, you can, if you miss the show or are on Facebook at 8 o'clock at night on Monday,
Right.
watch it tomorrow morning.
Yeah, there's some interesting things, I think. I mean, I'm a little biased, but I think this is fascinating. And we talk about, and the goal of the show is to help people understand their dog's behavior and the dog's needs. You have human needs. You have a different body temperature. You have different nutritional needs. You have all kinds of separate and apart needs from a dog. And it's almost, it is unfair. It's cruel if you see a dog that looks thin, for example, a greyhound or a whippet or a biologically or physiologically thin dog, and you try to fatten them up, you're actually abusive. So it's abusive. When I see an overweight dog, just like when I see an overweight child drinking a Slurpee, it's abuse in some level, right? So, and dogs, I mean, they're stuck. They are completely, at least kids can run away from home when they turn 16 or 17, right? They can get away from these
Right.
toxic vampires. But our dogs are literally our hostages. They can't call 911. They can't call social services or the ASPCA. And, and I think by and large, most people really truly love their dog. So it's funny that when somebody really abuses a dog, which is sickening and crazy, there's a lot of public attention. It's on News 12, it's on the front page of the paper. When people abuse dogs in the way that I perceive them abusing them, by not allowing them to be dogs, let them be who they are, accept them for who they are. And when you try to change that, or you want them to be your, watch Dr. Phil with you and go, whatever you do, go on a boat with you. I mean, it's generally speaking, it's just something about it that I'm fundamentally opposed to. So before the break, we talked about right now, so one of the things that we do, is we go to testify in court on behalf of dogs who bite people or bite things, or when law enforcement either uses dogs correctly or incorrectly. So we represent dogs, so to speak. So in March or April, my phone will be ringing off the hook with dog bites. And it's a very predictable thing to me, because if we think about it, let's just think about the evolution of a dog bite, how it happens. So we talk about Christmas puppies. So back in Christmas, people ran out, a lot of people went out and got a puppy for their 10-year-old child, which is
Right.
mistake number one. you shouldn't get a child an animal because they're not going to care for it. So, mistake number one. So, adopting a dog or buying a dog for a child is a mistake. Not to say that children can't participate and be part of it, but ultimately, at the end of the day, owning a dog is an adult situation.
Right. It's not fair for the dog.
It's not fair for the dog or the child.
Right.
Because now the 10-year-old child is going to be getting yelled at, and it's just not right. It's not right. It's not fair for the dog or the child. So when you get a dog, it is an adult responsibility, just like getting a car. It's not a child's, it's not a toy. So we get these dogs for Christmas around 3 months old. Then it's winter in the Northeast. So winter in the Northeast, people stay inside. So from 3 months old to now, the dog might have been looking out the window, barking at the mailman occasionally. And as the months go by, we know dogs mature very rapidly, right? So their lifespan is 12, 13, 14 years. So they're maturing very quickly. So from the months between Christmas and the spring, they've been in your house, or in reality their house. They've been perched up on the couch or sitting in front of the storm door, barking out the window. Every time the mailman came. Every time the garbage truck comes by, and they're barking and they're biting, or barking and barking and getting all out of balance. And they're maturing. Every week that goes by, they're becoming older and more mature. They're entering in, at 6 months old, they're entering into adolescence. So all their primal juices are going. And you have failed to address that by allowing them to bark out the window. You have failed to address that. So then all of a sudden, in April, when it's first nice day, kids are going to be out on bicycles, mom's going to be pushing the baby carriages around, kids are going to be on scooters, and all this activity. The landscaper comes. Everybody's out. Then all of a sudden, your 6 or 7 month old dog, who's been barking out the window all winter, gets out by accident. The front door opens, and he goes and he bites a kid on a bicycle or what do you call those things? Scooter, something else. But anyway, anything that moves on wheels to a dog is prey. It's prey. They don't understand bicycles. They don't understand cars. They just know that when they bark, these things disappear. So when your dog is barking at the mailman, what happens? The mailman disappears.
Right.
When they're barking at the landscaper that has this pack making whining noises and leaves are blowing, they bark incessantly and that disappears. So they learn, or they think they learn,
right,
that they're controlling their environment by barking and becoming aggressive. And we try to teach them the proper behavior. But most people, it's like a runaway train. And then, as I said, March and April, spring comes, the dog gets out of the front door, invariably nips or bites somebody. And it all could have been prevented by teaching the dog proper behavior when at Christmas time.
Right.
Not waiting. Once he starts barking and growling and all this, the party's over. It's the same thing when the doorbell rings. All of these things are the same thing. They trigger aggression. Not all the time. Some dogs are fine. And for those people, this conversation doesn't apply to you.
Right.
This conversation applies to the people that are listening, that when the doorbell rings or the garbage truck comes by and your dog has what I call an out-of-body experience, it's very possible when something changes, the dog gets out, that the dog will nip or bite somebody. It's not the end of the world.
And these are young dogs now.
Right. So you'll be sued. The dog is always blamed, right? It's going to be a mark on his record saying that, he bit somebody. My point is, folks at home, if you go to our YouTube channel, Hounds Town YouTube channel, just watch. This is what we deal with day in and day out. Leash aggression, resource guarding, all these things. And we're doing it for the benefit of the dog, because dogs make these mistakes at the hands of humans, but the dog gets put to sleep, not the human.
Right, they never know if they did anything wrong.
Or the dog hasn't done anything
they're supposed
wrong.
to be doing.
And a dog biting somebody, that's what they do. They resolve conflict with their mouth. They don't have any other mechanism. They can't pick up a stick to hit you with. They can't do anything but use their canine teeth, those long fangs, to puncture your skin. It's the same teeth they use to kill small prey items, rabbits, moles, voles. That's what they use. They kill it, they put their canine teeth into it, they shake it, and they eat it. And that's the way it goes. It's the disturbing fact for some people to know that your dog is a predator. But we're predators. Only we're sophisticated, so we don't think that we blow up other countries, but we really do blow up other countries for resources. So anyway, I always go off on a tangent in the last minute of the show. So just keep that in mind and read the book, Animals in Translation, and it just gives you a very simple understanding how dogs don't see shadows, or it does see shadows. It doesn't understand movement. It doesn't understand reflections in the window. It doesn't understand any of these things. It doesn't understand carbon monoxide hitting them in the face when they're 18 inches off the ground from a car muffler. So, and once you understand it, you can understand their behavior. All right, so this is another show under the belt. It's the Dish on Dogs, 103.9 live every Monday night at 8, and Facebook Live. If you miss it now, watch it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Especially since we had our girl Zooming Rosie with us. So we'll see you next Monday night. I don't know what we're talking about, but we'll have some interesting guests on, I think.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for
See you
listening.
next week.
Dish on Dogs. All right, let's get that.